didn't take it that far. For my own particular use, to go into the pockets was too anticlimactic. I wanted something that was going to be fast, easy, and very, very visual. Now, the setup that I use is any face card, any numbered card, but I'll stick with what I had before. I have the Jack of Hearts, 7 of Hearts, Jack of Clubs, 7 of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds, 7 of Diamonds, Jack of Spades, 7 of Spades. I always pair them off in suits. I'll show you why in a moment. I then have a red ace, black ace, red ace, black ace. The order of the aces is not important. I do separate the colors simply because when you ribbon spread out like this, at a glance, there's nothing glaring, there's nothing that looks as though it's there. I then talk about the gambler and the magician meeting. The full pattern that I use, of course, is in the first part of the tape. After I've done the false shuffles, I then just run 2 cards, 1, 2, and they're thrown to the bottom of the deck. That is one method. Don't make a move out of it. Just run 2 cards. Another method that I use quite often is I have the top 2 cards reversed. As an example, instead of running Jack 7, it's 7 Jack. And the reason for that is if I'm doing a series of pull-through shuffles, as I'm explaining, I come through, do the pull-through, and cut. Then run up the back till I have a 2-card break, and then do an up-the-ladder cut, so that I transfer the 2 cards to the bottom. Now, you can use whichever you prefer. If you're a little nervous about just running 2 cards, it's easier. If you want to transfer them using the up-the-ladder cuts, then, of course, you have them on the bottom, whichever you prefer. At this point, I always try to have a lady select the card. It's not important. It's just the way I like to work. For the force, you could use a classic force, but then you have to transfer the pack back by using a pass. What I prefer to do is simply use the Lorraine force by pulling down 1 card, about 1/2 an inch, 3/4 of an inch. You pull it down, and then you just with the left hand start fanning cards to the right so that that card runs underneath. I then have somebody just touch a card and leave their finger on it. I then push the card over and split the deck at that position. As you close up, the card slides underneath. You then just reach underneath, pull the card out, place it on the table, and lift up, forcing the card. We're going to take a look at the Lorraine force from just a little bit of a different angle. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When you first learn it, it's going to feel awkward. Any sleight, particularly when you're learning it, always feels awkward. Once you've mastered it, it's not awkward anymore. We're going to force the Jack of Clubs, and Derek is going to help me. I pull back the card about 1/2 an inch, 3/4 of an inch, not too much. Now, the deck is down this way, but this is for explanation. I pull down. The left thumb starts feeding cards into the crotch of the right hand and just starts feeding them around. Now, you see how the Jack is now swinging underneath the fan. Derek will now reach up and touch any card. I come up to the card that he has touched, and I take away all the cards below the touch card. That card is now still in that position. I square this up and place it on the table. This hand now comes and squares these cards against the palm. I then reach under, pull the card about 1 inch, and with my finger I just press on the back and let it come right to the table and lift straight up, place the cards on top. That is the Lorraine force in detail. Study it, it's a dandy. I then ask, did you happen to see what that card was? They say no. The magician now said, what I want you to do is to cut the 3 cards in the deck that will match that one exactly. And I just give the deck just a little tap just to get it out of the way. Now, the first cut is a triple cut, but you do nothing. You simply take the deck, and like a book, you just open it out, place the bottom packet on top, and as it goes down, the little finger takes a break. The thumb comes, holds the break, undercuts half of the lower packet, puts it on top but retains the break. Take all of the cards from the cut break and place it on top. So now the deck is exactly where you started. You now have to do a double lift. Many people have many ways of doing a double lift. If you're very comfortable with yours, that's fine. The double lift that I use is my own knockout double lift. Basically what it is is you push over the top card, but the thumb is overhanging the deck. You push over the top card, you press down, and you push over the second card. So the two cards are like this. You then take the third finger of your right hand, pull and lock. That is the basics. You then take the two fingers, first and second finger on top of the deck, thumb underneath, and you snap the card face up. In actual practice, the break that you use should be no more than maybe a 64th of an inch. Actually, you're trying to push over two cards almost as close as possible, and the two cards are right there. You lock them, turn it over, and you say he cut to a 7. You then turn the card face down. Many ways of doing it. You can lift up because the cards are convex and concave. If you just press down here, the cards will pop up here. You press and turn over and place the card on the table. That's one method. Another method of turning the card face down is simply by pressing down here, and it lifts on this edge, and you just turn the face down very casually and press down. If you wish, you may use the go switch. With this, the card is pushed over, the two fingers come on top, thumb on the bottom, it's revolved down, and as it's revolved, the cards are split. The thumb, the back of the thumb grips the card as this card comes forward, and you give it a little snap. So what it really looks like in actual practice is you do this, it comes around, and you snap it and put it down. That is one card, which you place down. You call that one the 7 of clubs. Get a break under the top card, and you're going to triple cut again, but this time you're transferring the top card to the bottom. You get the break. All the way through the cuts, you hold the break. Take out a third of the deck, put it on top. Undercut half of the lower pack, put it on top. Cut all the cards below the break, place it on top. This transfer the 7 to the bottom. You now do another double lift, show the 7, turn it face down, and place it on. I had the 7 of diamonds, and I take a peek at this one, and the 7 of clubs. Now, this is the reason that I set them up club to club, spade to spade, heart to heart. Because if I happen to forget what the card is, what suit it is, when I look up, I am seeing the club. So I know that that was a 7 of clubs. I look at this one, I know it was a 7 of diamonds. Once again, I get the break at the back, triple cut, bring it up, and once again, do a double lift. Show the 7 and place it on the table. So now you've done all of the switches through. I then say, I have cut to match it. At that point, I just put my thumb on top, draw off the top card, place the rest on top, and do a ribbon spread, taking the card from the top to the bottom. I say to the person, would you please turn over the 4th card to prove that he did indeed win the challenge. Now, as they're turning it face up, the moment it's turning face up, I do a thumb count from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I now have a break with my 4 7s. I say he has won the challenge. But when this card is being turned up, I am looking and talking over to my left, or to my right, as the case may be. In other words, I don't want to see that card until I am halfway through the sentence. And as you can see, he won with absolutely... Oh. In other words, I have to be very surprised. I stop in mid-sentence because I honestly believe that is going to be the 7. I say, how do you get out of this one? The magician said, you lost. He said, wait a moment. You did not say I must cut to 7s. You only said I must cut to cards to match this. Sir, would you please turn the cards face up? Now, as the spectator reaches across, he turns over the first card. As he turns over the first card, my right hand comes over the deck and takes the break. He reaches over and turns over the second card. This is when the move is done. I swing cut half the deck over, flip it face up, drop all of the cards below the break, the 7s face down, place the deck face up, and he turns over the 4th card. This is all done in a rhythm, not out where the cards are, but back on the table back here. Do not look at your hands. Watch the cards. Do not start it here. You do the actual move on the second card. This is simply because at this particular point in time, all focus is on that card. The whole audience is watching that. They're waiting for this. They completely missed the move. I say, they matched. The magician said, wait a moment. What happened to the 7s? you immediately ribbon